transforming lives as we love, serve, and remember who we are.
One heart, one mind,
one soul at a time.
Hello and welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. I'm Paula Mandella and this is Soul Light Connection, and we want you to know you're in the right place at the right time. Right, Ann?
That's right, just where you are meant to be. And we want you to sing along with us because we know and you know your soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. Yeah, your soul is welcome. Our soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. Right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Put your hands together. My soul is welcome here. Tell them about it, Larry. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome here. It is welcome here. My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome
Well, good morning, and welcome to the Spiritual Life Center Palm Sunday Experience that we are bringing to you wherever you happen to be on the planet today. We're grateful for your presence as we remind one another we are always interconnected. We are always one in the Spirit. We have people across the planet who view our services. So each week I like to acknowledge at least one place outside the United States in which people are tuning in to our program. And today I'd like to acknowledge our friends in the Netherlands. We thank you for connecting with us and know that you are blessed and a magnificent blessing to our world. At this time, let's take a few moments to commune with the presence and the power and the love of pure spirit in prayer, remembering that prayer is the language of spirit, as we reaffirm our realization of our oneness with everyone across the planet, as well as the Spirit of the living God itself. Divine presence, we recognize that we live and we move and we have our very beingness in you. And because of that, every quality that is good and perfect is also within each and every one of us. And so we do our part to be the channels, the vessels, the instrumentalities of this presence, so that we can express it in our world and we can anchor it everywhere that we go. And so we do so with every thought we have, every word we speak, every action that we take. So we lift our vibration to be one with the one, so that not only do we help transform our world, but we begin to uplift the very lives that we live and all those that cross our path. For this and so much more, we're grateful and thankful as we go forth multiplying and amplifying the all good. And so it is, and so we let it be. You know, we have a powerful mission here at Spiritual Life Center, and that mission is to transform lives as we love, as we serve, and as we remember. And we do so as we carry out to the best of our ability these 5 basic principles. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action. Well, this is our last week for participating in the Season for Nonviolence. You know, since January, Spiritual Life Center has joined in with other spiritual communities around the world, as well as other like-minded organizations and individuals, in a collective acknowledgement and affirmation of the work of Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we do so to create an awareness of nonviolent principles as well as practices, and do so in a powerful way to heal, to transform, and empower our lives and our communities. And in this reading for this Season for Nonviolence, it will be done by Ira Mandella, a key member of our AV team. So welcome, Ira.
Today, I bless rather than condemn others. In spite of any appearances, there are no weeds in God's garden. God's wisdom put a thorn on the beautiful rose bush. I call forth the wisdom to bless the thorns and to enjoy the roses. God expresses as the tiny acorn and grows into the mighty oak. God's trees release their leaves in the fall and endure the winter, all to make ready for the bloom of spring. And so it is with people. I bless everyone I meet, whether they are shedding their leaves of old thoughts or bursting forth with new growth. Each person entering creation is a sacred and marvelous expression of the Maker. Their entrance into my garden offer me the privilege of blessing rather than condemning, nurturing them into their most beautiful and bountiful selves. In so doing, I do my part in reseeding creation with the fertile seeds of peace. This reading spoke to me on multiple levels. One is that in times of challenge, words that condemn others find their way to our tongues with such ease. These thoughts and words come more easily when I view another as against me in some fashion. But if I can remember in those moments of challenge that there are seasons to all our lives, to our emotions, and to our thought patterns, I can then more easily stop those condemning thoughts from being spoken. When I came home from work the other day, my partner was watching a documentary on Walter Mercado. Some of you may know he was an eccentric Puerto Rican astrologer, actor, dancer, and writer. While watching, she mentioned to me that he was known for never having spoken a negative sentence in his life. And this struck me as such an incredible feat. What an amazing attribute to be known for. I hope to improve on this practice of refraining from speaking condemning words to the point that the condemning thoughts take root in my mind less and less. Now, this blessing of others comes more easily when it's a friend or a family member, or if I view them as of my tribe. But I am more closely aligned with Spirit when I can extend that blessing to those that I view as other. Because in truth, there is no other. All of existence is one garden. When we bless others, we bless ourselves as well.
I'm Reverend Deborah Phillips, and here's what's happening at SLC. Our podcast, Discovering Spirit Within, is taking a short break, so look for a brand new episode on March 31st. And remember, you can find all of our podcasts if you go to our website. If you've been wanting to explore or deepen your own prayer practice, you will want to join Sherry Rain for Harnessing the Power of Prayer for 4 weeks in April. This class can be taken for personal growth or as a foundational requirement for becoming a new prayer chaplain. You will come together virtually or in person to discover and connect with prayer by exploring the role of prayer in your life, aligning your prayers with Spirit to elevate your dreams, examining what may be blocking you, discovering ways to bring more prayer into your life, cultivating personal prayer practice. Harnessing the Power of Prayer is offered on 4 consecutive Tuesday nights starting on April 6th. The class runs from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And again, it will be live and via Zoom. You can register for this class at our website. Karen Drucker is offering an opportunity to clear your clutter, change your life. Here is her personal invitation.
Hey there, my SLC family. How are you? Karen Drucker coming to you here today, inviting you on Saturday, April 10th from 10 to 3 to a life-changing workshop. Clear your clutter, change your life. Simple as that. We are going to look at tools and techniques and fun ways to clear some of that clutter that you've got in your life. And you know who you are if you've got this, little piles of paper everywhere that you can't deal with. We're going to do this together. We're going to have short bits of time that you go off and do it and come back. And it's going to be just fun and supportive and gentle, and it'll be great. You'll feel so different. So again, Saturday, April 10th from 10 to 3. Hope to see you there.
Thank you, Karen. We're looking forward to this workshop. Prepare for Easter by joining Reverend James and me for an uplifting Good Friday meditation, The Last 7 Words of Jesus. Laurie Shiflett is offering inspiring music to deepen the meditative experience. Good Friday is April 2nd, and this service will stream live at noon on YouTube. Remember, Friday, April 2nd, live on YouTube at noon. And then let's spend Easter together. Bring your families and meet your friends as we gather in person at SLC at 9 a.m. on April 4th, which is Easter Sunday, to view a very special pre-recorded Easter Sunday experience with Reverend James, me, Soul Light Connection, and the SLC Choir. You're invited to stay and mingle afterwards for as long as you like. All required guidelines for COVID are in place, including the necessity to register in advance. Registration is online, and as of Tuesday, there were only 9 spots open. However, you can go to our website to see if there are any openings or get on the wait list. Visit our website at slcworld.org/events. Let's welcome Reverend Janee Marth, who has the youth update.
Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. I'm Reverend Janee, and all of us in Youth Ed send big Palm Sunday blessings to all of you. By the time this airs today, we will have had our first in-person YOU meetup. Michael Lawson, our YOU sponsor, and I are very excited about bringing our teens together and providing a safe space to reconnect and share. We plan for this to be the first of many in-person meetings. And today, after our service, we'll be meeting at a park near Spiritual Life Center to have an early Easter egg hunt with our youth and YOU. I can't tell you how happy this makes us. And we'll be videotaping our adventures today so that all of you can be blessed by their presence in our Easter service next Sunday. We love you all, and we're so looking forward to being together again soon. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Reverend Janee. We're always happy to hear what our kids are doing. We love to greet our newcomers. And while we cannot greet you in person, we want you to know that we are very happy that you're with us today as you walk your unique path. You can learn more about us by going to slcworld.org/connect. And when you fill out the online card, you can choose to receive our weekly message, find opportunities for connecting with our prayer chaplains and online small groups. You can also ask to be notified of greater ways to connect with us as we expand our virtual community. And speaking of connecting, you can find all details for the happenings at SLC by simply going to our website, slcworld.org. Thank you for joining us today. It is an honor to be with you in spirit.
Day by day, day by day, oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly. Oh, I gotta see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly. Yes, I do. See thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, by day by day by day.
At Spiritual Life Center, we affirm there is power in the spoken word. If it feels comfortable for you, I invite you to speak aloud our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions. Weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom, we cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
As we move into our time of meditation, let's breathe together, breathing in the words of that beautiful chant. I am spirit. I am holy. I am sacred. I am love. Breathe that in, feeling the truth of those words resonating deep within you. Breathing in and breathing out. Allow your breath to calm your body and your mind. With each breath, relaxing. With each breath, softening. Your breath is an invitation to your body and your mind an invitation into the peace of your being, into your divinity, your sacredness. As your body relaxes and your mind quiets, notice what arises, what's been there all along, this presence of God within you, this presence of love that you are, this presence that permeates every cell of your being and all of creation. Charles Fillmore used to meditate on the words, "I separate myself in consciousness from the mind of the flesh, that I may enter into the mind that was in Christ Jesus." I separate myself in consciousness from the mind of the flesh, that I may enter into the mind that was in Christ Jesus. God mind, Christ mind. You are transformed by the renewing of your mind. You are evolving from a limited sense of your separate self to the truth of who you are. And that is what Palm Sunday is all about. A transformation of consciousness. God is awake in you, as you, right now, always has been. And each of us are waking up to that presence within us, discovering who we really are. If you realized how beautiful you are, you would fall at your own feet. Rest in the beauty of you. Feel every cell of your being restored, renewed, transformed. Transformation is a way of life. And in the midst of all the changes in our bodies, in our lives, in our world, there's a constant within us that doesn't change. The infinite God of our being, the Christ mind, that is always there and always available to you. And together, we're coming to know and to trust that presence of God that lives and moves as each one of us. We take our brother's hand, we take our sister's hand, and we rise together into the allness of our Creator, our God. You are here to love. It's all that presence knows. Just like the sun's only purpose is to shine, God's purpose is to love. And God loves the world through your soul and through mine. As we move into the silence, we rest as one in God mind. Thank you, God, for renewing our mind and for transforming us into lovers, lovers of life, lovers of all that is. Here we are, God, love through us. And so it is. Thank you, God.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in pastures so green. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in pastures so green. He leads me and he feeds me by the water. He restores my soul and he makes me whole by the water. And though I am walking through a valley so dark, no evil I will fear, for I know you are near, for you are with me in your power to comfort and strengthen in your power. Receive me at your table, you pour your presence over me. My cup is running over before my enemies. Your goodness and your mercy, they're running after me. They're running after me. They're running after me. They're running after me. You are with me in your power, comfort and strengthen in your power. And you lead me and you feed me by the water. You restore my soul and you make me whole by the water. Wonderful life, wonderful healing, wonderful salvation. This water to drink. You know there are rivers of living water. There are rivers of living water. There are rivers of living water.
thank you for that extraordinary rendition of Psalm 23. You know, that psalm is great to read. I think it's even better when we have the opportunity to listen to it in the form of music that we just heard. Because whenever we're faced with a challenge, it has very much a way of inspiring us and getting us through. You know, it reminds us that no matter what we are going through or what we're growing through in our life, or in our world for that matter, when the Lord, which is the great law of life, the law of our being, shepherds us, it allows us to have that activity in our awareness. It is the water that restores our soul. It is the waters of life. You know, Jesus the Christ noted that when we drink of this water, we shall never thirst again. All our needs are met, and we shall not want, we shall not lack anything. You know, we're heading into Holy Week. And usually around Holy Week, there's a lot of discussion and debate about this man that we call Jesus. It also is around the time, for some reason, every year they show the 10 Commandments and Moses, but that's another story. But a lot of people ask the question, who was he? What did really he do? What did Jesus represent? We know that what we know about him, or understand through the stories we have read concerning him, he had an open heart. He had an open vessel for the Spirit of the living God. And yes, he sometimes was very stern with those around him, but we do remember him for having that open-heartedness. And I think when we truly understand who Jesus is and what he represents, there's a pure part within ourselves that resonates with the realization that we too must have an open heart and be those open vessels. You know, because of his openness to the Spirit and his willingness to surrender, he fulfilled his spiritual potential, I believe, like no others before or since. And he did so to such a degree, one could not tell the difference where he left off as a human being and the God presence within him began. Which is why he was able to say, when you see me, you see the presence that sent me. That the Father, Mother God, and I are one. But he also reminded us of this. He said that all the things I have done, you can do because, like myself, you can go straight to the Father. You can go straight to the presence. So he did not walk around saying, look at me, look at who I am as the Son of God and all that I can do. He was really telling us in his life and his words, this is what you as a child of God can do. So in these teachings, we say that Jesus represents our possibilities. That he was not seen as the great exception, but as the model, the prototype of what's expected of each of us. Now, of course, this is not necessarily an easy thing to do. Like I said, he fulfilled his potential in a way that none others that I understand have done so. It's interesting that many years ago, I had an opportunity to have dinner with Maya Angelou. She had been in town and had come to the community I was at, and later on had invited me to her speech and then to dinner. I couldn't make it to talk, but I definitely was going to make it to dinner. And somewhere in the conversation, Ms. Angelou said that, you know, she talks with people that at times and they'll say, you know, I'm a Christian. And her response would be something to the effect, you mean already? And what she was saying is that there's a distinction between being, quote, a Christian and living the Christ life. She was saying that being a Christian is sometimes considered just a once-in-a-lifetime ceremony of salvation from a so-called inherent faulty nature that we have, with the idea that God or the Christ presence or salvation is completely outside of ourselves, somewhere way out there. And she went on to also say that the Christ life is about following the teachings and modeling the Jesus example with the realization that God eternally abides in each and every one of us as the Christ. Now, you can use another word for the Christ if you don't like that word. I mean, I can understand that because, for many years in my life, I had an allergy. See, I can't even get it out. I had an allergy to that word till I understood its full meaning, and I eventually got over that allergy. But if you don't like it, or somehow it doesn't sit well with you, you can substitute that word with the word force, with genius, with potential, with inner power, with your divinity. You can use any of those words for the word Christ because it simply means that part of God within everyone. So we can call it what we will. But our job in this journey called life is to call it forth as the activity of our awareness. Because whether we're conscious or not, whether we want to admit it or not, there's a hunger within each of us to express our divine potential, to express a divine Christ presence, that God that's within us, in the same way that Jesus Christ expressed it in his life. So we look to Jesus for ways and means and methods for that Christ presence to become full bloom in our awareness. And doing this, we have been talking about going through what I'm calling the ascension process, in which we spiritualize every aspect of our life. And we don't departmentalize our life where we're saying that it's material over here and it's spiritual over here. We're saying that we have the opportunity to make it all spiritual. And so when we do that, we can stand and be the living proof of these principles we say we believe in. In other words, I believe it says it's no good to say, well, God is all that there is. It says it's no good to say we're surrounded by a perfect divine presence. It does us no good to say we're living and moving and having our being in God unless we are proving it in our life, unless we're manifesting that good, unless we are bearing witness to the good we say we believe in. So today is Palm Sunday. People celebrate it in different ways throughout the world, throughout our nation. And we have the opportunity to celebrate it actually every day because it's never a one-time experience. We're always celebrating something about the presence. So we look at the symbolic, mystical meaning of Palm Sunday. It's a pictorial parable of the triumphant appearance or the triumphant entry. And it's not merely about Jesus, the person. All the stories in the Bible, all the places, the people, the names, they represent and they symbolize something within us. And Jesus symbolizes the Christ presence, the Christ principle that we all have. And when we follow that principle, when we follow our intuitive nature, it guides us. It guides us so that we can navigate through any situation in our life. So we'll look at Jesus riding on a donkey into Jerusalem, and the palms are being laid down in front of him. And it has a very wonderful meaning for us. It's a symbolic transmutation or evolution of the soul from the raw instinctive consciousness, or what some call our animal nature, our basic nature. And then it moves to our human consciousness, which is a little better than that. But ultimately, we want to get to divine consciousness. So Jesus riding on a donkey means that he had dominion, he had control over the animal nature within him. He wasn't reactionary. He was riding into the holy city. And that represents our oneness with God. It represents God consciousness, cosmic consciousness. It's oneness with our divinity. So he had dominion over the animal nature, the raw instinctive nature, the survival nature that we all come with. And the divine became fully orbed, fully bloomed in him as a human being, where he was able to say, when you see me, you see the presence that sent me. You see the essence of God. So this celebration Sunday, this Palm Sunday, is the mystical celebration of that transmutation that all of us are moving through one way or another. And we're having a whole soul devotion to the qualities of God, of peace and love and excellence. Where we're living, we are the living water, as was sung in that song, and it is our shepherd. So we begin to be aware of those places within where we have identified ourselves. Sometimes we seek to hold on to a certain way of being because maybe we're just comfortable there, but we're not growing. And so Jesus had to do some things that made him grow. He had to get out of his comfort zone and go into some unknown territory. And that's what he was doing when he was riding on the donkey into Jerusalem. Because it's interesting about life. Because even if we imagine ourselves as being magnificent beings and we're still operating from a realm of limitation. Because the unspiritualized ego has not released itself into the mystery of the unknown. That's where all the good stuff is. It's still dealing with known facts and things that can be imagined. It's still a ceiling. You know, it reminds me of a story of a man who had transitioned. He had died. And he went to the proverbial heaven. And when he got there, he was shown around by St. Peter. I don't know why in all of these stories it's always St. Peter. It's never another saint, but St. Peter was there. And as St. Peter was showing him around, the man saw all of these boxes in a room that they happened to pass by. But St. Peter didn't take him in there. And so the man was very curious about this and asked if he could go in. And St. Peter said, well, you don't really want to go in there with all those boxes. They're for the people who are here. But the man asked, well, do I have a box? And St. Peter said, yeah. And after a while, jostling back and forth, Peter relented and he let the man go into the room. And the man goes in there and he looks for his box because they're all alphabetized and in order. You know, apparently there's some really orderly people in this place. And he finds his box. And it's beautiful. It's gold and purple, has a magnificent ribbon tied around it. And he opens the box. And when he opens the box, St. Peter hears this groan from the man. Because inside the box are all the blessings that God was ready to give him. But the man had put a limitation on himself and a ceiling on himself because his refusal to step into the unknown. And he never received the gifts that were for him. You know, the point is this. We got to let go of what we know and step into the mystery of the unknown to receive the blessings that are there for us. Like I said, that's what Jesus was doing when he's riding into Jerusalem. He didn't know what was really before him. He knew it probably wasn't going to be too good. But he did not succumb to his human response, his natural response. He let that go and he followed that Christ guidance that was in him. And so for him, it was about moving from that conditioned response that we all have, that safe place that we are in. No longer reacting to our environment and stepping into what we would call a spontaneous goodness that is calling for all of us to be more, to be ourselves, to be who we are in potential. As I said last week, we have to be something more than we've never been before in order to do something we have never done before. It's a constant movement. It's an expansion in awareness. This is what we're talking about here. So we're moving from the base way of being, our conditioned, sometimes reactionary consciousness. It's that place within that operates from instinct. And sometimes it's difficult to separate itself from its environment. It can't separate itself from conditions or circumstances or what other people think, and it begins to let that be what guides them. But as we develop and unfold, we move into a higher end of the human consciousness, the next stage. And that higher human consciousness of us is wonderful. And at that point, we can see ourselves separate from our environment. We can even imagine ourselves separate from the particular experiences that we're going through. And you and I can begin to think independent of circumstances. And therein lies creativity. Therein lies that spontaneous goodness that just springs up for us. Therein lies the unraveling of our past, the unraveling of our history, and we're not limited by anything that may have happened to us up until that point. Even the events that are passing through our awareness in this moment do not determine the quality of our life, because we can think separate from all of that. Think separate from all that seems to be going on. And as we begin to take control of our awareness of that point, at that point, and become devoted to God, then those conditioned states of mind that seem to run us up until that particular point, they begin to be requalified. They begin to be transformed. They begin to be transmuted. And our entire life, our way of being, begins to glow with a level of excellence according to where we are placing our attention. You know, this past year, during this pandemic, for many of us has been challenging. Many people have reached another level of their being nonetheless, even despite the challenge. They've reached levels of creativity that they haven't previously tapped into and may not have even stepped into had we not gone through the experiences. You know, I know people who have got back into hobbies they had long forgotten. They discovered skills they didn't know that were there. I was checking out online a guy who lived on a farm. He created some sort of contraption from just pure wood that he had laying around, and he turned that into an automatic rebounding machine. So when he shot basketballs to the hoop, a wooden bucket-like contraption would sling the ball right back to him so he wouldn't have to chase the basketball down. You know, I can't really give it a just description, just say it was amazing what he was able to come up with in his imagination. I know there's another person even in our congregation started creating rag dolls. And heck, I even finished off a book I started that now I have another idea for the next one. But at the same time, many people kept their attention contracted, focused on fear, focused on doubt, focused on worry, which blocks us from seeing the visions that the Spirit of the living God has for us. There's some part of us that is prone to worry. There's a dimension of us that worries a little bit, is concerned about things. And there's part of that that's actually really cool because it protects us. It keeps us safe. But there's a part of us that allows it to run amok. And all it does is worry. It creates the worst case scenarios all of the time, always thinking if this does not take place or that does not take place, it's been conditioned that particular way to see the worst possibilities. But this whole worry state, which is a habit for many of us, can be stopped with a degree of practice by giving it something to do. We got to give that something to do so we can step into that new possibility. You know, it reminds me of a story of a monk, of course. And he had this wonderful disciple who had some really super curly hair. I don't have any hair now, but he had super curly hair. And this is important, as I'll talk about it later. And this guy went to the monk because he wanted to lift his vibration to the point that he was able to say a mantra that raised his energy level, raised his way of being to a very high level. And once he got to this level, he could command any spirit, any entity to do his bidding. Because he knew that if he raised his vibration to this point, he could do this. So he went to the monk and he threw himself down to the monk and he said, as his student, I want the mantra that you can help bring me to the point that will lift my vibration where I can command this spirit to do what I want it to do. And the monk said to his disciple, I could teach you this, but there is a catch. This spirit you're about to command always has to have something to do. And if you do not give it something to do, it will devour you. It will eat you up. And the guy said, no big deal. I got a lot of stuff for the spirit to do. And the spirit started thinking about and he started thinking about all the things he wanted this spirit to do. So the monk gave him the mantra, and the disciple started doing his japa, his repetitions of this mantra over and over again. His vibration was lifted high, and he was feeling connected. And all of a sudden, the spirit appeared. The spirit said to the disciple, "What shall I do for you, master?" And the disciple said, "Well, I want a palace, make it big and beautiful." And he laid down after giving this command to take a nap, and the spirit came back even before he could close his eyes. And he said, "I'm finished, master. What else?" And then the disciple said, "Well, my goodness, I didn't even get a chance to get a nap." And then he told him, "I want it filled with servants and wonderful food cooking when I get home." And in an instant, it happened. And he still hadn't had a chance to take that nap. And the spirit said to him, "What else do you want me to do, master?" And he told the spirit, "Cut the lawn." Shoom, it was done. He painted another color. Shoom, it was done. And he could not keep up with that particular spirit. And the spirit says, "I'm getting hungry. I'm getting hungry. I'm going to devour you." And the guy hightailed it back to the monk and said, "Help me, help me. The spirit's about to devour me." And the monk said, "I told you if you were going to get involved in this, what was going to happen." And the disciple says, "Look, don't give me advice. Save my life." Someone said, the worst vice is advice. He said, "Don't give me any advice. Help me." So the monk plucked one of the super curly hairs out of the disciple's head. And as the spirit was coming, he gave the curly hair to the spirit and said, "Make this hair stand straight." And the spirit held it, but every time he let it go, it curled back up. He'd give it back to the spirit, and he'd hold it out again, and it would curl back up. And then the monk said to the disciple, "Now tell the spirit to do what you want him to do. And after you tell him what you want him to do, give him the hair to straighten up, and your life will be saved." Now I say all that to say this. That hair curling up is what we must do to that conditioned part of us that has become habitual, that is not in tune with the highest possibilities of ourselves. We must give it something to do so that then the Holy Spirit can do the work. So that even when the surface mind is going crazy, it will not devour us. When we want to hold on, something else happens. When we want to be in resentment, something else happens. When we don't want to do something or do our best, something else takes us over. This is what we do when we talk about spiritualizing our entire life. That's what that's about. We give it something to do. And you may ask, what does that look like? We can tell ourselves, first of all, I'm on a journey. I'm on a spiritual journey. And that spiritual journey means change. It means transformation. Nothing remaining the same, a constant expansion of awareness. You begin to tell yourself that. You begin to tell yourself, I'm here to give. I'm here to share myself with this world. This breaks the limited perspective that sometimes the unspiritualized ego has that will tell us, oh, you're not enough. Oh, you aren't enough. There are diminishing returns here in this world for you. It begins to tell you, I'm here to give. I'm here to share. I'm here to begin to tell us to invest in life. And when we do that, we'll begin to celebrate the meaning, the essence of Palm Sunday, realizing it's a preparation for a greater demonstration of who and what we really are. We understand we have simply transform our reactionary part of us, the animal energy in us. We've up-leveled and requalified the human energy within us. And we have stepped into that spiritual insight part of our being. This is where the mysteries are unfolding. And they can't be defined by words. They can only be felt by the heart. It begins to redirect us, requalify us. And then it allows us to see specifically some of the tasks that we are here to put our energy in. And we do that in order to bear rich spiritual fruit. That's what Jesus was heading toward, rich spiritual fruit. And it was treacherous along the way. But this is why we are here. This is what Palm Sunday is about. This is what the triumphant appearance is about. It's about stepping into cosmic awareness, stepping into cosmic consciousness, and surrendering and releasing into the mystery. Understanding the mystery as a greater expression of love, a greater expression of peace, a greater expression of harmony, a greater expression of life that is eternal, and the willingness in our human incarnation to bear witness to it as our life. And that's what Jesus the Christ did. He bared witness to the truth that life is eternal. And it does not matter what we are facing. He knew he was going to go through a scary experience, a challenging experience like none other in his life. But it did not matter what they said about him. It did not matter what they called him. All that was important was that Christ's presence within the soul of everyone. And that includes you and me. He revealed this. So let this Palm Sunday be a symbol of your indwelling Christ's power that directs us to be on a hunt to something good, something magnificent. And then watch as the triumphant nature of our spirit, your spirit, repeats itself over and over and over and over again. It expands over and over and over again. And so we take that in as the message for this Palm Sunday. And next week, we'll give you the rest of the story. Peace and blessings to you. Thank you for being part of our Palm Sunday service. And we address the symbolic meaning of Jesus riding on a donkey into Jerusalem. And know that it's about transforming the soul from a lower level of consciousness to our divine consciousness. Well, next Sunday is Easter, and my talk asks this question: are you ready for your resurrection? I don't know about you, but I am, and I think the world is. So let's go for it next week as we talk about the resurrection experience on Sunday. And remember to join us for a virtual courtyard chat on Zoom at 10:15 Pacific Standard Time. The link to the spiritual courtyard is in the description. So let's meet there, and we have an opportunity to chat a little bit. Right now is your opportunity to help Spiritual Life Center to provide these spiritual programs as well as these experiences, not only for you, but all those who tune into any of our activities here at Spiritual Life Center. It is not only our weekly Sunday experience, but our podcasts, our prayer and meditation classes, as well as the other transformational experiences that take place throughout the week. So I invite you to support Spiritual Life Center with your donation or your gift, and to give what you can. It makes a tremendous difference, and it will be highly appreciated by all concerned. Of course, you can give by texting SLC Love to 44321. text SLC Love to 44321, or go to our website, slcworld.org, click the Donate tab to give in other ways, including by mail. Also, one other thing. If you find value in our services and want to help spread the word to others, and depending on what platform you happen to be viewing us from, please like, comment, or click subscribe for this particular program. And more transformation will happen for other individuals as well as all those across the planet. And now, let us join in and energetically recite, either aloud or to yourself, our offertory blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
I'm gonna enter the gates with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter the gates with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter this port with praise. I will say this is the day that our God has made. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Yes, I'm gonna rejoice now. I will enter the gates with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter this port with praise. I will say this is the day that our God has made. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Yes. I will enter the gates with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter this port with praise. I will say this is the day that our God has made. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. Spirit makes me glad. Oh, Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice. I will Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice. I will rejoice, for Spirit makes me glad. I will rejoice, yeah. 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 I will rejoice, yeah.
And now, let us join together and say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well.